Yo, what is going on, everybody? So today I decided to do something a little bit differently here. And so I believe I'm going to start kind of going over some of the discussions and general topics being discussed over on SKAN. So this might cover a few days, might cover weekly. I'll just kind of see how it goes. But for today here, we've got some things to cover just in the last 2 days. Things have actually been pretty lively over there. So, there's a lot of stuff going on revolving prepping, obviously, but, that scope is pretty broad. There's a lot of topics that pop up again and again. So anyways, though, we've had a Tennessee raft enthusiast prepper classroom going on over there, and they are on their 17th one by now. Those are pretty awesome. I've joined one of them before, and, it looks like they have, quite a lot of good discussions over there, revolving foundational concepts, planning, and general prepping caveats. And then we have a discussion that went on revolving family prepping, which is quite a crucial topic for, people that have children, people that have families. It's, there's a lot more that goes into that sort of thing. So, dealing with the overwhelming nature of having a family and trying to prepare for potential scenarios, which involves, relocating to rural areas or relocating in general. Moving an entire family is not an easy thing. So there was quite a bit of really good personal advice shared in that discussion. And the reason why I'm covering it in this kind of general sense is because while it is a kind of paid service to, be a part of that forum, so, I don't want to show absolutely every detail of it, to actually encourage people to join that and see for themselves. And there's been a lot of discussion on security, which is another very much ongoing topic over there. So, in this case, it was about different types of people that will essentially hunt preppers, people who maybe have not done any such preparations themselves, and they know about somebody who is doing so. And if, we go into a shit hits the fan scenario, well, those are the people that are going to be basically seeked out, for better or for worse. So, operational securities, and just other philosophies such as teaching others how to provide instead of just handing out resources blindly. The whole thing of teach a man to fish. And just in general, forming healthy trust or healthy distrust. Not being too paranoid, but also not being too open to other people who may not have good intentions and all that sort of stuff. There was a post on the April comet risk, which was covered by Ben Davidson. Because I guess there's some scientists that are saying the comet we are going to be having towards the end of April could be or pose some sort of risk. But, looking into it, it's probably not going to be the case, and we'll just have to see what happens. But there was a couple of cool little movie-related references in the discussions there. And then there was a post about Northern Arizona, which is one of the many places that a lot of people have looked to as a good location. So there's people forming together there. And then there's always quite a bit of Colorado discussion, simply because that has been one of the hotly debated locations for general safety from all sorts of possible events. And while obviously it really doesn't have anything to do with the politics in Colorado, because that has been going downhill severely, no, it has all to do with the actual geography, the actual what the location provides, being, landlocked, having the Rocky Mountains, and, a plethora of other aspects going into it. So there's been lots of discussion over home building, regarding construction, preferences, building codes, costs, and just other safety concerns. There was a post about poultry education series, which came from a class out of the Colorado Springs University extension of Pueblo for processing and raising chickens. And then there was a forum post about rainwater catchment in the state, which, again, is another kind of hotly debated thing with water rights and rain barrels. And, it turns out there actually is some hidden stipulations and different things regarding rural exceptions and other hidden rules that many people don't know about. So definitely a lot of really valuable stuff. And then we had a post about becoming a regenerative human. And what that means is basically, self-sustainability and, harmonizing with nature in that regard. So there were some pretty good online sources and links for other stuff regarding that. Regenerative food systems, indigenous resources in areas. That pretty much covers just the last couple days, which had quite a bit of stuff. But if I do this more in the future here, I could cover, a whole week, or depending on what kind of activities going on there, just kind of give some little tidbits here and there. And then one other extra thing that I did not have on this little picture was knowledge preservation, and that has been also a very large topic over there. How to preserve knowledge both physically as well as digitally. So even if there is some sort of large EMP attack or a large coronal mass ejection from the sun, or whatever the case may be, there is potentially ways to save information digitally, which means, being able to save terabytes of information, which is kind of hard to keep physically. You would need a pretty much warehouse-sized library to contain as much information as you could on one single hard drive. So there's always a lot of ongoing speculation and discussion about that. We actually had a call today, it was about an hour and a half, regarding those ideas. And so, that's pretty exciting as well. Just discussing how to protect electronics, how to, what kinds of knowledge to preserve in terms of history, science, practical skills. The list just goes on, including arts and crafts, music, really anything. And I think especially history is going to be a pretty big one because, let's say if society did collapse and we had some sort of, civilizational reset, which, when you look at the ancient past, appears to be the case, which has happened before, where we lose a whole bunch of information and knowledge and technology. So if there's even a chance to try to preserve those things for a better future, then, we think it's very much worth pursuing that, even if it's not any sort of guarantee. So anyways, that is going to wrap up this short little update here. Let me know what you think, if you would like to see more of these, and, maybe what I could do differently about it. But as always, I will catch you all in the next.